I was married to David for 30 years, 30 long years, and through it all, I believed we had a solid, honest life. Sure, like every marriage, we had our bumps, financial stress, disagreements about parenting, the usual, but nothing that ever made me question the core of who we were. He was charming, dependable, and funny in that dry, sarcastic way that made him seem wise. I trusted him more than anyone else in the world. We adopted our daughter, Amara, when she was 6. Her biological father had died in a tragic car accident, and her mother, well, let's just say the stories Amara shared later made it clear she had endured the kind of childhood no one deserves. Starved, beaten, locked away. You'd think she'd cling to me as the maternal figure in her life. But no, she clung to David. I tried not to be hurt by it. I told myself she just responded better to men because of her trauma. David was patient, gentle, and he never pushed her. I, on the other hand, tried too hard. I cooked her meals, read her bedtime stories, made her birthday cakes from scratch. She thanked me, sure, but I never felt that same emotional bond with her that David so effortlessly had. When she hugged him, it was like she melted. With me, it was polite, reserved. By the time she was 15, Amara started spending more and more time out of the house. By 18, she moved out completely. She stayed in touch with David far more than with me, but I chalked it up to the bond they had. I let it go. Fast forward to when she was 23. She returned for a few months, more mature, elegant, grown. I thought we'd finally get our moment, but still, she stuck to David like glue. Long chats in the garden, whispered conversations behind closed doors. I found it strange, but again, I convinced myself I was overthinking. She just trusted him. And then came the accident. David had supposedly gone on a solo hiking trip. He'd done that every year, claiming he needed to clear his head. This time the call came from a local ranger. They found his backpack near a cliff. A few personal items. No body, but plenty of blood. Enough to assume the worst. It was declared an accident. A fatal fall. No remains. Just a bag and a broken heart. Except it wasn't broken. It was numb. Something in me didn't feel right. The grieving process never truly began because part of me kept questioning. Why did it feel so incomplete? He had left a will, one that left everything to Amara, not me, not even a mention of our 30 years together, not a single asset in my name. His life insurance, her name. The investments, her name. Even our house was sold behind my back just before he went on that trip, apparently signed over legally with my signature forged. She disappeared shortly after, told me she was going abroad to heal. I never heard from her again. I was left in debt. Nothing. I couldn't even afford the mortgage on the place I'd rented after the house was sold. Friends offered sympathy, but no one offered answers. I was the grieving widow, alone, broke, abandoned. And yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Years passed. I tried to rebuild my life, got a job in retail, rented a small flat, started therapy. But that hollow feeling stayed, until the day I bumped into someone who changed everything. It was at a grocery store. Of all places, a woman named Melissa, an old mutual friend of Amara's from school. She lit up when she saw me. "Oh my God, I saw Amara recently. She looks amazing," she said, digging out her phone. "She's living abroad now, right, with her partner?" My heart skipped. Partner? Melissa showed me a photo on her screen. It was them, on a beach, smiling, 2 kids playing in the background. But it wasn't the kids that caught my eye. It was the man. Tall, broad-shouldered, weathered but unmistakable. It was David. I stared, frozen. The man I had mourned, the man whose ashes I never received, the man who had left me penniless. "Who is that?" I asked, trying to keep my voice even. Melissa shrugged. She told me it was her partner. They met years ago. Weird age gap, though. He's got to be in his 60s. But hey, love is love. I nodded slowly, handed her back the phone, and walked out of that store shaking. He was alive. Alive. Living in another country. Living with our foster daughter. They had children, a home, a life, a lie. The rage didn't hit me at first. It was disbelief. Numbness. Then, when the pieces started clicking together, the pain came. The realization that the man I loved had planned this, that he faked his death, left me destitute, and ran off with the girl we raised. I didn't sleep for days. I contacted a private investigator, showed him the photo, gave him everything I knew. Within a month, I had it confirmed. David Thompson was living under the name Daniel Ellis in a remote coastal village in Portugal. No official death certificate had ever been filed in the country. Just a declaration in the UK based on circumstantial evidence. He'd used a second passport he'd secretly renewed years ago, and the account where the life insurance had been deposited? Cashed out and closed within 6 months. He'd been planning this for years. There was more. The investigator showed me records, money transfers from offshore accounts, a new business registered under Amara's name, a villa purchased in cash, all of it pointing to one thing. They were in on it together. My stomach turned. I had raised her, protected her. And she had taken everything from me. I confronted them. I flew to Portugal, stood outside their white-walled villa, palms sweating, throat dry. I watched Amara play with the children. They looked about 5 and 7. Blonde curls, laughter echoing in the air. David came out moments later, gray hair, beard relaxed in linen. He froze when he saw me. Amara turned, her face paled. She whispered something to the children and hurried them inside. He walked up slowly. "You shouldn't be here," he said. I stared at him. "You're alive." He didn't answer, just lowered his gaze. "All those years," I whispered. "You let me think you were dead. You let me suffer, alone." His jaw clenched. "It was never supposed to go that far. What was it supposed to be? A long con? A second chance at life? With her?" Amara stood in the doorway, arms folded. "She was never your daughter," David said. "She was mine. Mine from the beginning." I blinked. "What?" He hesitated. "We had a relationship, before you. Years ago, before the adoption. She was put into the system after her mother's breakdown. I knew she was mine, but I never told you. I saw a way to bring her home without exposing everything." I staggered back. "Why not tell me? Why the lies? Why fake your death?" "I wanted out. From the beginning, I hated the life we built, the pressure, the routine. You never saw it, but I was suffocating. And she gave me a second chance, a real family. She knew the truth. She agreed to everything." Tears streamed down my face. "And you just threw me away?" "I had to," he said simply. "It was the only way." I left without saying another word. The authorities weren't much help. Statutes, international laws, forged paperwork. The life insurance company had already closed the file. The will had been executed years ago, and no foul play had been officially recorded. It was airtight. I never saw either of them again, but sometimes I still see that photo. The one with the beach, the laughter, the fake smiles. And I remember the woman I was before I became disposable. Before I was robbed not just of money, but of trust, love, and every truth I thought I knew. And I remind myself, they may have taken everything, but they'll never have a clean conscience. Not ever.